Stress-Free Cooking is brought to you by... From the sunny Mediterranean comes one of the world's finest olive oils for all your cooking needs. Pompeian extra virgin olive oil, classic Mediterranean, and extra light tasting. Pompeian makes everything better. From our table to yours, O-Pee-Chee Wines, fine wines and spirits from around the world since 1913. Cutco, the world's finest cutlery. Melissa's, the freshest ideas in produce. And Sub-Zero Wolf Appliances.
Hi, I'm Barbara Selig Brown. Welcome to Stress-Free Cooking. Today we're going to visit a very special region in Italy, and it is called Alto Adige. It's also at times referred to as Südtirol or the South Tyrol. It's where the Mediterranean and the German influences come together. So I have, again, two of my very special friends who are experts on Italian food and culture. Lou DiPaolo of DiPaolo Fine Foods in New York. Welcome, Lou.
Thank you, Barbara.
And I also have Agnello Musella from the Italian Trade Commission in the United States. And I am going to depend on these two gentlemen to give us a little bit of an overview on the area. But before we do that, we of course have to put on our bunny slippers, pour a glass of wine, and get ready to cook. So I'd like to pour a Pinot Bianco from the region. And I think this is a great wine. It's light, it's crispy. In the region, you'll find a lot of apples, a lot of cheese, and of course, that famous product, Speck. But we're gonna tell you about that in just a second. Thank you, Lou. But before we get to the food, I think we wanna talk a little bit about the region. So, Agnello, could you give us a little overview of what people should expect when they want to learn about the region of Alto Adige?
Well, Alto Adige is a very unique region because there is this influence from German side and Italian. So it's a good mixture, a good balance. And so the product of the area, because the wine are really amazing, and there are some wine that they are up in the mountain and they are very high positioned, and that this gives a special taste to the white wine that personally I like very much. And also some authentic product like Speck that is maybe the most well-known product from Alto Adige. So the area is amazing, it's beautiful, and the mountains are really amazing. And I'm sure that when you were in Italy with the incoming mission, you enjoyed it, and you gave the right perspective on what is, from an American point of view, this area.
It was lovely. And you know, I really enjoy when I visit the country and I see the authentic Italian traditions, and then I think about how do we translate this to the American kitchen or the American shopper. And I think, Lou, you're probably an expert on that since you have your Italian specialty shop in New York City.
Well, you know, I always like to take each region and pair the traditional foods and wines together. And the simplicity of the ingredients is what makes the foods from that particular area very, very special from all the different regions. Specifically, Alto Adige. The province of Alto Adige, which is in the region of Trentino Alto Adige, is very, very different than the rest of Italy.
Anyway, I think we're going to start tasting and cooking,
right.
But I have to let Agnello leave. He's got a very important meeting to go to. So Thank you so much
It's
for
been a
taking the
pleasure.
time to
Oh.
come and visit with us.
It's been a pleasure. So see you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Lou, these products here are beautiful. So I'd love to fill our viewers in on exactly what we have. We have speck. I'm going to let you go into detail. And then we have the cheeses of the area, and we also have some of the grape varietals. So why don't we start with the speck?
Absolutely. Well, you know, Südtirol, Alto Adige, is the fusion between two different cultures, as Dr. Musello mentioned before. You have your Northern Germanic and you have your Southern Mediterranean. Nowhere is it more evident than in the products that they produce. For instance, the speck. Speck Alto Adige, as we refer to it, because German speck would be a little bit different, is two methods of curing pork. Your Northern Germanic method, where they heavily smoke it, and your Southern Mediterranean, where they air cure it and lightly salt it. So,
Amazing.
so you have that fusion between the two. It's like the fusion between two different cultures as well.
That's amazing.
And as you can see, what they do in speck is they take debone the leg, then they spice it.
Which makes it different than prosciutto
Yes.
in one way. That's only one of the many ways, but
Yes,
because
they-
prosciutto has the bone in
They
it.
cure it with the bone. This is cured without the bone. They debone it. They spice it with a lot of different spices. They don't tell you what. They're very secretive about it. Every family
Yes.
has their own special spice recipe.
I was visiting there, and many of us wanted to know, well, just give us a little hint. And believe Lou, they do not
not
tell
tell you.
you
They
the
don't tell you.
secret spice
In
recipes.
fact, I was visiting a small farmer that did speck in the traditional way, not in the factory way, but he did it. He would have 2 pigs a year, and he would make speck from those 2 pigs a year. And when I asked him, what spices do you put on the speck, he turned to me and he says, I don't know what they are. I go into the forest and I find them. It's what my grandfather and my
Did?
father used.
Oh, I
So
love that.
I don't know what they are. I think he knew what they were.
He
was
didn't
just
wanna
being very
tell you.
polite. He was a
Yes,
wonderful man.
very diplomatic.
Very diplomatic, but anyway, it's coated with the spices, then it's smoked, and then it's air cured for about 5.5 months.
Right.
Smoked for about 30 hours, 36 hours, 4 hours on, 4 hours off. So it's mildly smoked with non-resin wood, so you don't have that harshness
No
to
problem. Right,
it.
right.
But you know what makes it really special? It's the microflora. Because they allow, like they do for prosciutto di Parma, prosciutto San Daniele, they allow the natural environment, the air, to infiltrate into the curing process. And what happens to speck that doesn't happen to prosciutto is this piece gets completely covered with this bluish white mold. They refer to it as mushrooms.
Yes.
And in case mold is mushrooms.
Right, right.
But it's a
similar.
beneficial type of mold.
Yes.
That it comes from the environment. It attaches itself to the leg, and then as it's curing, it permeates flavor through. Then it's washed off, and then packaged for us to consume.
It
You know-
really does give it a unique flavor, and I have seen
you know,
that.
I brought a cheese that they allow the same mold to attach itself to.
Oh.
And just to give you an idea of how it looks, this here is called Le Grain. Now, Le Grain is a very unique wine that's produced in the sandy soils of Alto Adige.
And it's a red wine.
It's a red wine, and it's unique to the area of the Südtirol Alto Adige. And that's the name Le Grain because they take the cheese and they soak it in the Le Grain wine. And
I
I
love
did
that.
bring a bottle of Le Grain wine, which is absolutely spectacular.
And they are very proud of the Le Grain there.
That's their indigenous grape,
Yes.
and they're very proud
and
of
it's
it.
delightful.
But not only that, they also put spices and herbs on the cheese as well. So that will allow the microflora to attach itself to the cheese. And here's your bluish white mold
Yes.
that you see,
Yes. Oh.
which gives it a very unique flavor. I want you to smell
Well,
it.
cheese is a living thing.
Absolutely. Most cheeses. Processed cheese,
Oh.
it's in a dormant state.
What is
Like-
processed cheese?
But this here is
that
living
smells
for
good.
sure. You smell it, you smell the herbs,
do.
you smell, and you can also smell a hint of the wine.
You know, this truly has the smell of the wine. But one of the things that I enjoyed while I was there, we went to the top of the Alpe di Susi and we had lunch at a beautiful restaurant, very tiny, and the chef there made us what he called hay soup. hay soup sounds very strange to us as Americans, but what he really meant was he had gathered up grasses and herbs and flowers at the top of the mountain and turned it into this herbaceous soup. It was unbelievable, and I think that's kind of what you're saying there. You know, they use the natural and indigenous herbs and
environment. Environment plays a part in our everyday life, not only in what we breathe, but also what we eat.
Yes, for
It
sure.
attaches itself to the foods and the plants, and the animals develop the characteristics of it.
Now my job is to taste some of this,
Okay.
isn't it?
Sure.
Okay.
You know, the first cheese I think we should taste is this one here. It's called Dolomiten König, the king of the Dolomites. Do you know the story of the king of the Dolomites?
I don't.
Okay. Well, as you taste this cheese, I'm going to give you a quick story of that.
Okay, great.
He was a dwarf king.
Oh, I did hear about
he
this. This
lived
is
up
a
in-
great story.
Lived up in the mountains, and he had this most beautiful rosen garden, a rose garden.
Oh, this is
Isn't
wonderful.
that delicious? You know, we should have a little bit of the wine with it as well. You know, what I like to have with this particular one is the wine from the mountains called Kerna. Kerna is a unique grape variety that was done by a botanist. He fused two different grapes together
Oh,
and came up with this new varietal. But it only grows in high altitude. And you know, in Alto Adige, they have very high
high
altitudes.
altitude, yes.
In fact, I had the good fortune of climbing one of the mountains a few years ago
Oh,
with my
nice.
son. It was the most exhilarating experience. I couldn't walk for 2 days after that, but
Did you
it
go,
was the most exhilarating.
was it the Alpe di Susi?
It was the Sultanspitze,
Oh.
which is the third largest mountain that they have there. We were supposed to go on Ortla, but there was too many avalanches. And in fact, there was one as we were going up the mountain, on the Ortla mountain, and it was very, very frightening to hear that roar and thunder.
Oh, I
even
can
though we
imagine.
were miles away from it.
Would you do me a favor and finish that story about the king of the Dolomites?
So the king of the Dolomites was a dwarf king, and he had this most beautiful rosen garden, which the people of the valley used to marvel at all day. They used to see it. But he went down into the valley and he kidnapped a princess from that area. And when he kidnapped the princess, he took her back into the mountains. The princess's father took his army, went up to the mountains, fought the king of the Dolomites, this dwarf king, and stabbed him and to rescue his daughter. And as he was dying, he said to the king and to all the people of the valley, I say to you now, you will never see my beautiful rosen garden again, neither day nor night. But he forgot one thing. He did not say evening. So every evening in the valley of Alto Adige, and you look up into the Dolomite Mountains, and you know what you see? You see this beautiful rosen garden on the Dolomite Mountains. And this is the rosen garden only in the evening.
Oh.
These Dolomites are so beautiful and so striking in color.
They are.
And
The
it's
contrast
one of
is
the most
amazing.
amazing mountain ranges in all of Italy.
Lou, that was a great story. Thank you. And you know, I think that not many people know that, but to celebrate your great story, let's have some wine.
Yes, absolutely. But you know, it's something to look for when you're in Alto Adige, is to take a moment and look up into the mountains, say from the city of Bolzano, or Bolzan, as the locals refer to it.
Yes.
You know, everything has two names there, both the German
And the Italian. In fact, German is the first language.
I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that. Have a piece
Thank
of this,
you.
and have it with the Kerna. Kerna for me is such a tropical wine, so refreshing. It's one of the wines that I prefer in the summertime, just by drinking alone. But it's great with a piece of this Dolomiten
Getting some
König.
melony flavors in here. Oh, it is a great combination.
Delicious, very buttery with a little hints of nuts, and with
And then this
wine,
has this melony, nice, sweet flavor.
I think it's just a great combination. Look how beautiful that color. Now this grows.
this
This
is
grape grows in the higher altitudes.
This is very floral,
Yeah.
which reflects the area.
And you want to know the name Kerna, believe it or not, was a name given for this grape because it was named after a famous German composer. And you know what he wrote? He wrote only drinking songs.
Really?
Yeah, in the German pubs today, even today.